Dear Mrs. Michael Byrne, leave what my handlers and I must have on the table. Glance to your right. I'm seated only 3 tables away. Your doom. A very young man, dressed in black tie evening wear with a white carnation in his lapel, raises his hand and waves. Midnight black hair curls around his milky white cheeks. His clear blue eyes stare back at her. He picks up his champagne glass and smiles. Dora flees. The mystery man pursues her. A shot rings out. Ladies scream. The captain of the Morro Castle on its last run from Cuba to New York falls dead. Later that same night, September 7th, 1934, Dora sees a saboteur throw a fuse at the wall of the first-class writing room. She boards a lifeboat without her husband, who has been killed in the arson. She comes ashore in New Jersey and heads for England, where she has been too long away. 2 weeks later, at Salisbury Cathedral in the south of England, Dora marries her long-lost love, Colonel Sir Edward Ware. Their vows are interrupted. A figure in a black abaya with a red scarf cries from the gallery above, Allah Akbar, Da Gozay in Arabic. Edward hurries Dora back to Ware Hall. Dora catches Edward talking to the same young man she encountered on the Morro Castle in a nook in the garden. Edward calls him Leopold. He counts out 25,000 pounds sterling into the young man's hand. Edward scoffs. You get yourself involved with saboteurs, arsonists, criminals, Nazis, all sorts of lowlife. It's rubbing off. I'm no better than I should be, and I'll probably get worse. Leopold agrees and starts to leave. Leopold, what would my wife think? Edward stops him. Leopold replies, I don't want her blood on my hands. She's a nice lady, but you seem to think very little of having my blood on yours. Dora wakes up one night and hears voices out in the hallway. Why, it is Edward and his mother. I warned you. The Dowager Lady Ware's voice drops to a lower register. Edward hisses. I've risked so much already. Get rid of him, his mother insists. There's a big pause. How can I? Hire someone. Annabel Ware struts down the hallway and slams the door. Edward calls after her. That would amount to murder. What was her mother-in-law suggesting? What was all this talk of murder? Dora sails to Egypt with Edward, where he is stationed at British Mideast headquarters. She meets Edward's military friends on Gezira Island in the middle of the Nile. His commanding officer, Brigadier Wiki Roberts, has a wife named Jane. She wears a swastika charm bracelet. Edward announces that Dora is expecting. Jane exclaims that the Fuhrer adores little children. She thinks that Dora and Adolf Hitler are destined to meet. Dora falls asleep, lounging in her pool-like bathtub at their Victorian house on Gezira Island, a British enclave. She awakens to the sound of voices outside her door. Here is the first installment. Edward keeps his voice very low. I'll shoot first and ask questions later, a Cockney voice says. Edward returns to the bathroom to help Dora towel off. He puts his arms around her waist. She sees blood on his hands. When the Dowager Lady Ware visits at Christmas, their touring party heads for the Sphinx on the Giza Plateau outside Cairo. Dora moves around to the front of the Colossus beside the Sphinx's paws. She glances down at her Baedeker guidebook. Everything around her grows all too quiet. Shivers go up her spine. Hello, Lady Ware. Hisses a voice that makes her go cold. Dora spins around. It is the ghoul in the black abaya with the red scarf. Dora flees up into the Sphinx, with the ghoul in hot pursuit. She hides in a cubbyhole in the back of the Sphinx's head. Is Edward approaching to save her? She climbs out. A spitting cobra stands up on its tail and gyrates back and forth in a hypnotic fashion, like a belly dancer, keeping its gaze fixed on her. Suddenly the snake falls dead. Leopold holds the smoking pistol. Dora learns the secret that will change her life forever. This has been the story of the Nazi Sphinx.